excited to see you on the call. Excited to meet everyone.
Even when nobody else believes, I'm not going down that easily. So don't give up on me.
Welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan, bukhim abayim, and all of the different ways of saying welcome. Bienvenidos. I'm trying to think of what other ways I know to say welcome. Cheryl, do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. I want to welcome everyone for being here this afternoon, this morning, this evening, depending on where you're joining us from. A very, very exciting day. The past 6 to 9 months, the board of the Sisterhood has been working together to enter into a challenging conversation and to learn how to do it, and to learn how to do it so that it'll bring us closer as opposed to dividing us. And that challenging conversation has to do with Israel and Palestine. And in February, and again recently, the board released their position on the challenges. Can I ask everyone to just mute, please?
If everyone is not speaking, please mute, just so we can make sure that everyone can be heard who is speaking.
Thank you. So we came up with a position statement that basically said, as a board representing the Sisterhood of Salaam Shalom, we believe in just societies and a safe, just, and equal place for Israelis and Palestinians to live together. And as such, we are making a commitment to team up with and partner with organizations on the ground who are pursuing the same thing that we believe that we should pursue. And we are looking for partnerships where we can help our sisters to engage in these challenging conversations, help our sisters to feel like they are doing something, not only expressing themselves, but doing something. For those of you that have been in the sisterhood for a long time, we actually started, and we still believe in this, that until your relationships are really strong, and we say anywhere between 1.5 years to 2 years, we ask that we not engage in any challenging conversation. Like there were engagements going on yesterday that we had to intervene a little bit about Ilhan Omar, and recent things have happened. We ask our sisters to not engage in Israel-Palestine, to not engage in other challenging conversations until they could listen with their heart instead of their ears. And we are constantly looking for ways we can help you to do that. I met Micah, I don't know, maybe 3 or more years ago at a New Israel Fund Seeds of Peace concert, and then became reacquainted by one of our sisters. I don't know if she's from our DC chapter, who has been involved with Micah and with the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. And I reached out to Micah and I said, Micah, what you're doing is unbelievable. You're changing the world. You're allowing people to enter in to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, to other challenging conversations. You're teaching them how to listen. You're teaching them how to respect each other and grow. And you're doing it creatively. Can we do something together? And it wasn't within 5 minutes after I sent that to Micah that I heard from Micah, and the rest is history. We've been working together, spending time with Sarah, with Olivia Rotter, who is our teenage intern over the summer and hopefully into the fall, and with Sammy, who is our staff member, and amongst her so many responsibilities is also overseeing all the teen engagement programming. And we've created 2 labs, 2 opportunities for everyone to participate in what is now Raise Your Voice Labs, which Micah will tell us more about, and to also learn from JYC, And to enter into these labs, one with teens, that's starting, Sarah, the week of August 3rd, I think, August 2nd. And one with our adult sisters that will take place late fall, early winter. So today is intended to get you all very excited, to give you a taste of what you will be involved with if you want to join the lab and participate, and we hope you all do. So thank you all for being here. Enough from me. I'm going to turn it over to Micah and to these incredible JYC alum, and inspire us, Micah, and teach us.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'll definitely do my best to share what I've experienced and what I know, and mostly introduce you to Amer and Sifra, who really have done some incredible things and have really taken impressive journeys in terms of their own lives and with one another, specifically in the context of the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. And so really it's just exciting for me to get to work with them. And I feel the same way about Sarah, who will get to introduce more about the lab and the kinds of work that we'll be doing with the sisterhood, both in terms of teens and in terms of adults. She's really been working hard to mastermind that process, and it's going to be really exciting. So I'll just introduce myself and the chorus briefly, and then hand it over to Amer and Sifra. My name is Micah Hendler. I'm from outside Washington, D.C., and I moved to Jerusalem in 2012 to found the Jerusalem Youth Chorus, which is a chorus and dialogue program for Israeli and Palestinian young people from East and West Jerusalem. And that journey, I'll tell you sort of just in brief, really came from two things. It came from experiencing, as I was growing up, the power of music to create community, to create spaces where everybody could be included and valued, and what that did for me growing up, having access to those spaces, and then seeing how that intersected with the power of dialogue work and conflict resolution work. Specifically, Sarah and I met at Seeds of Peace when we were both in high school, in our senior year of high school. And that relationship has obviously continued since then. But what I really found at Seeds was not just that the dialogue process blew my mind in terms of what I thought I knew versus what I actually knew. And not even so much that, but what I didn't know and what I didn't know that I didn't know. Right. So that was obviously very profound for me, but also seeing how the music created a container in which that process could happen with more trust, with more ability to hold one another with compassion and empathy and humanity, as opposed to letting our sort of identities divide us arbitrarily. That like through music and through singing together, you could actually create a shared identity with new norms. And one of those norms is we're supposed to listen to each other and hold one another with compassion. And that combined with this really powerful dialogue process could really have a transformative impact in a way that was bigger than just singing together or just talking together. And so I was exploring that over the course of many years. In the process, I also studied Hebrew and Arabic and was a music counselor at Seeds of Peace, and was then sort of theorizing all the things that I just told you, and then wrote my senior thesis at Yale in music and international studies on basically, so you can do this at a summer camp in Maine where you control the variables and no one can leave, but can you do this on the ground in Jerusalem where you control no variables and everyone can leave? And then I decided to just go to Jerusalem and try it, and founded the chorus. And in that very first year, met incredible people like Sifra, and later on met Amer and all of their compatriots who now are in their early 20s and making incredible music and really making waves in the world in all the different ways that they do, and doing so together. And so that's just been super exciting for me. And ultimately, the Jerusalem Youth Chorus combines the power of those two methodologies in the context of a performing ensemble that has a common goal. That's also really important, that it's not just like we're meeting to do a process, but at the end, we stand for something together on stage and on a global stage. And the kinds of opportunities that we've had to spread our message, whether from the Late Show with Stephen Colbert to the 2 times that we've performed at the United Nations in Geneva, and a variety of other incredible platforms, we've really been able to help shape a conversation that should be different. And so we're trying to do that in the best ways we know how. Where Raise Your Voice Labs falls into this is just that we've been doing this work in Jerusalem, and particularly in the last several years, I, like probably many of you, have become increasingly unable to deny the reality of how desperately this kind of work is needed in the United States, and in other places in the world. And so I wanted to be able to take the lessons that we've learned in Jerusalem and apply them and help others who are trying to do this kind of bridge building work in other contexts have the tools that we've developed. And so Raise Your Voice Labs is a new vehicle through which we can work with other communities to empower them to engage with one another differently and more powerfully through not just speaking with one another, but also making music and creating new music together. And then being able to amplify that group's vision and values through a beautiful music video that then can be an asset for the community going forward. So that's really what we're doing with Raise Your Voice Labs and how it relates to the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. And we're super excited to get to work with all of you. Sarah, do you have anything you want to add about Raise Your Voice Labs, or do you want to do that later?
No, I'll do it later. That was really beautiful, Micah.
Cool.
And hi, everyone. Excited and grateful to be here.
Yeah. Amer and Sifra, do you want to say a little bit about yourselves and your experiences?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I'm Sifra. I'm 22 years old, and I've been in the choir, as Micah said, since the first year. So that's 8 years now, right? Which is amazing. And I initially joined because I love music. I love singing. Micah came to my school and he spoke about this amazing new singing group. And I thought, okay, well, I like to sing. So I don't really understand what the other stuff is about, but I mean, I like music, so I'll go. And for me, I was born in England. I moved to Israel in 2009. And I had basically no knowledge of the conflict or what that meant. I didn't even have a vocabulary really to speak about that. And coming into the chorus, I'd also never really been around people or hung around people that weren't Jewish. None of my close friends I'd never had that experience before. So coming into the first rehearsal, I definitely got a bit of a shock. And I just fell in love with it from the first meeting. I knew that it was something different. I knew that there was, just as Micah said really beautifully, actually, you start to learn that there's so much that you don't know, and there's so much that you don't even know that you don't know. And there's also so much that you can then show others about yourself and your background and, things that they don't understand about you. And I think that, just touching again on what Micah said about having that common ground of music, it really helps sort of bring people together. And I noticed that even, from being 13 years old, you can't really sing with people if you're really angry with each other. That just doesn't really work, because in order to be, singing is an emotional thing. In order to feel connected, you need to be able to sort of be getting along with everyone in the room. And obviously that didn't always happen, but we understood that that was what needed to happen in order to progress forwards with our music. So the way that the chorus is laid out, we have singing rehearsal, dialogue, and then singing again. So the dialogue is sandwiched in between two musical elements, which really helps we sort of warm up with the music, and obviously we're all really invested in that. and then we have dialogue, it can be very difficult and challenging, but we know in our headspace we have to go back in to sing together. And it's really just been so life changing. I think that unfortunately not a lot of people get to experience sort of sitting down and speaking to somebody who's like seen as the other, or however we want to label it. It doesn't get to happen, and I think that it's really shaped the way that I live here, my life choices, who I am, I think, as a person, which sounds very drastic, but I do think that it really, really shaped me in many different ways. And now um, I work for the chorus. Me and Amar both work together, and we work for the alumni program. Just like us, there are other people who were in the high school program, and then we wanted to stay. We wanted to continue working together. We wanted to continue sort of making music together. And me and Amar actually, I think it was a year ago now, even a little bit more than a year ago, we decided to perform together in Jerusalem. And this was before we sort of kicked off the alumni program again. And we decided to sort of just do a little concert in Jerusalem in the center of town. And we weren't trying to do like a coexistence concert or anything like that. But it just so happens that my friends and Amar's friends, we both, bring a lot of different people to the table. So it actually ended up being this like amazing mix of everybody together in Jerusalem. And it was really nice. And then after that happened, we kind of saw that there's a big value in coming together as adults and creating music together as well. So yeah.
Thanks, Shifra. Amer, you want to say a few words?
Yes, hi, definitely. Hello everyone, my name is Amir. I'm 24 years old. I joined the choir in 2014. I'm a Palestinian who lives in East Jerusalem that never thought that I will be having a chance, even as having a chance to meet the other side, because I lived in East Jerusalem. My school was all Arabs. I've never thought that I'll be able to have friendships with the Israelis or with the Jews. Uh, the story that I joined the choir in, I really like it, and I really like to tell people about it. I used to know Micah through a course that I used to take in the YMCA. So the choir used to meet there also, and we used to take a filming course when they taught us how to film, and like sitting in the office for so many hours editing the videos and all of that. And I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. I wish that I could sing, because I'm not actually gifted with a really good voice. And I was just sitting bored at the office, and I knew Mike actually through our beatbox jams. I started beatboxing that that year, and when I saw Mike and his cool beatbox, he was like, oh my God, this is so awesome, let's jam beatbox. And yeah, I asked him to do an audition for the choir. And I actually, a night before the before the audition, for people who love Marvel, I watched Captain America movie, the first movie actually. So before he becomes the big hero, the strong hero, he's a really tiny guy that have no muscles, and he wanted to be in the army, in the U.S. Army, and he just kept applying, and they kept refusing his application because he's short, he's tiny, and he can't do anything in the army. He's not useful, until the commander came, and a new commander came and accepted him in the army. So he was like, I applied so many times. Why did you accept me? He was, I know you're tiny. I know that you have no power or muscles, but you are a good man. So I went to the audition the next day with Micah. And before I opened my mouth and like let him hear my really bad voice, I was like, I know my voice is really bad. I know I don't know anything about music, but I am a good man. So
This
yeah,
is true. This is true.
and from there we kicked it. I started the Jerusalem Youth Course as a bass singer. Um, really I still remember my feeling in the really first dialogue session. I was stressed. I didn't know what to do, and like it's just stressful for the first time because it's really hard here to meet one another and like come and sing together and talk to each other and like just be friends and have fun. Um, and from there my story started with the Jerusalem Youth Chorus, and it's actually one of the programs that changed my life. It changed how I think, it changed Amir, but it didn't change the identity of Amir. I still Amir the Palestinian who still believe that this is my land and Israel came and occupied and killed my people. And what we learned in the dialogue that I can say my opinion to my friend Shifra here, and she would respect it, and she will tell me her opinion, and I will respect it. But we hear each other. We learned a lot through the dialogue process. Um, that we took off the elephant between us. Now, me and Shifra, sometimes we have our WhatsApp dialogue thing when we talk about the situation here, because in Jerusalem situation is like really bad and like sometimes people need to talk. And now me and Shifra and other friends actually, we feel free to talk about it because we learned how to talk and exchange opinions. And yeah, being in the Jerusalem Youth Course have been one of the most really awesome things that I've done in my life. uh, I got to tour in so many countries. I got to meet people. I love meeting people to get to know other people also. And now I could sing, by the way. So you all can sing, guys. And yeah, basically, my my thought of the my thoughts of the situation have changed from like all of the stress in Jerusalem when I found a place that I could go there and just speak about how I feel. And exactly, I just remembered one of the moments that I hear about that I wasn't in the chorus when they a Palestinian guy were kidnapped in Shofat, Muhammad Abu Khder, and like things weren't good in Jerusalem. And then the singers actually asked for a meeting that they can go and talk about it and just be together. And now me and Shifra and other friends are truly friends, even though all of the really many various reasons can divide us. But because the choir is structured in a way that enables us to see each other and talk to each other and respect each other, I'm just grateful being in this, and I really love doing things like this because I love tell people that things can, like, even like so many reasons can divide people, even so many crazy thing and killing, we still could do it. And I love the idea of music because I believe in music. Music bring all of the people together. And yeah, this is me. And now I work for the choir. I am really grateful. I'm like to be as a member, and then like I work in this thing that I love. I love it. I translate from English, Hebrew to Arabic, and I co-coordinate the alumni program with my friend Shifra. Nice to meet you all, and hope you enjoy today.
Wow, thanks, Habibi. Um, I I I'm inspired by what you say every time, both of you. What I'd love to do, since we've been talking for a bit, is get to a little bit more music. And one of the songs that I'd love to share is a song that actually that features both Shifra and Amer, and it was a song that the alumni ensemble collaboratively wrote with an incredible YouTuber named Melinda uh, a year and change ago when we were on tour in New York. And specifically, this song speaks to a lot of the common themes that exist between what's happening in Jerusalem and what's happening in the U.S. And elsewhere in the world as well, and specifically surrounding abuse of power by the police. And what the inspiration for this song was actually something that happened to Amer. And Muhammad, who's one of the singers whom you'll see in the video, set that to music, and he's telling the story of what happened to Amer when he was stopped by the police on the way to rehearsal, one of many times. And I won't tell you what happens, but you'll hear it in the song. But basically, it's really an expression of not just, you know, how we can be together and create an alternative way of being, but also how we can comment on what is and what's really happening and how it needs to change as well. So here we go. Here's Reason to Love. Share computer sound. Ta-da. Hopefully this is working. Can everyone see the video? Awesome. Here we are.
The song that you are about to hear was written in collaboration with the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. This is a choir in Jerusalem that works with both Israeli and Palestinian singers to sing together in beautiful harmony. The song we wrote together draws inspiration from their powerful stories and their life experiences. You will hear English, Arabic, and Hebrew in the song. If you would like subtitles in any of those languages, then you can click the closed captioning button down below. Enjoy!
كنت رايح أغني دقيت باللي ماله غنى عني كل باله يحرق لي دمي بس لما عرف بس لما عرف إني بغني الشرطي ما تركني ولا حل عني الشرطي ما تركني ولا حل عني قلت له شو بفهمك بفهمني قلت له شو بفهمك بفهمني شرط وفرض عليني أغني لحتى يحل عني
I sing for the stones beneath my feet. I sing for the child that smiled in the street. I sing delight in the load of the wind. I sing to appease the demons within. I don't need to sing to prove my existence. I don't need to sing to fight your indifference. I sing for the lessons the world hasn't learned. I sing for my soul as she watches it burn. I sing as the trees grow branches above, and I don't need a reason to love. אני עומדת יחפה אל מול שדות פתוחים ראשי מסתחרר, מסרב להחלים אין לי כוח להכיל את כבד השנים הכל מסתחרר בלילות וימים עכשיו אאלץ לדחוק בגפיים לגשר בליבי ראשי וידיים זה הרגע לקום לחטא פצעים לחלוק הכאב להחליט להשלים I sing for the storm distance. I don't need to sing to fight your indifference. I sing for the lessons the world hasn't learned. I sing for my soul as she watches it burn. I sing as the trees grow branches above, and I don't need a reason to love. Sometimes I fear that I won't make a change, that my voice won't be heard because I'll be afraid. We need to rise up and sing for our pain, 'cause I'm feeling lost, can I be shown the way?
صوتي عم بوجع من كثر ما ناديت، تعبت من كثر ما غنيت وحكيت، مش عم اشوف تغيير ولا اي اشي صغير. ما بعني بهالحكي رح بستسلم وبطير. اصحابي معاي عالطريق عم بنقاتل مع بعض، بنكمل الصراع وبنعبر لكل حدا صغير. عم بقول له لا تسافر، ضلك احلم بلدك فيها خير. غامر. I sing for the stars beneath my feet. I sing for the child that smiled in the street. I sing the light and the load of the wind. I sing to appease the demons within. I don't need to sing to prove my existence. I don't need to sing to find your indifference. I sing for the lessons the world hasn't learned. I sing for my soul as she watches it burn. I sing as the trees grow branches above, and I don't need a reason to love. Show me the way, show me the way, show me the way, show me the reason to don't, show me the way, don't, show me the reason to love.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, exactly. And particularly for, wow, just like Amer's rap gets me every time. And what was just so amazing about that process also was that we really wrote that song collaboratively. And what Melinda wrote was taken from the singer's experiences, and then we took what Melinda wrote and everybody sort of refiltered that through their own voices in just a really beautiful way. So yeah, I'm just feeling that. Yeah, so let's open up to some questions. We've done enough sort of talking and singing at everybody, and I'd love to hear what folks have to say and ask and what you would like to know. So let's maybe take 10 minutes or so and have a little bit of discussion time. If there's anything you'd like to know, either write it in the chat or feel free to unmute and ask.
Michelle has a question right off the top. Do you see it?
Yes. Where are your headquarters? Where do you meet? Do you have a Palestinian counterpart in leadership position at JYC? Great questions. So we were at the YMCA in West Jerusalem, as Amer mentioned, for many years. There were some institutional problems, shall we say, being part of the YMCA, just that had to do nothing with ideology and everything to do with just bureaucracy and the difficulties of organizations. And so we left, and the way that we left actually was another testament to the power of the singers. Basically, there was an administrator at the YMCA who was trying to bring the chorus down for his own ego reasons. And basically the singers organized and got him fired and saved the chorus together. And that was something actually that Amer and Sifra were both very involved in organizing in a way that like I personally my hands were tied organizationally in a given way, but the singers were like, no, this is our home and you can't ruin it and you can't take it away from us and we have the power, and they did. So that was an amazing thing. And now we're in the process of sort of finding a different physical home in Jerusalem. We've met at a couple of different places. Right now, as I am actually calling in from DC right now, where I've come back, and the chorus now is largely in local hands with Amer and Sifra and Miriam, who's our executive director, and Hani, who is our new conductor, who is a dear Palestinian friend of mine. He's a brilliant musician, and we've been friends for many years. And so he's now the conductor of the chorus in Jerusalem, and everybody loves him, and he just cares so deeply for the singers and for the music and for the cause. And so really happy to get to work with everybody. Hope that answers the question. How many high school kids are involved? So at any given moment, we have between 20 to 30 singers in the high school program, and then we have our core of alumni as well, which continues to grow, and people can stay involved in different ways. Are there any issues with COVID right now regarding singing?
Micah, can I just add to that real fast?
Go for it, Cheryl.
And based on Sarah, Sammy, and Olivia's work, we have 35 or more of our teen girls and sisterhood chapters who are going to be participating also. And we'll be participating as a unit together, and we'll also be participating with the kids in the chorus.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. That's really, really exciting. Yeah. Are there any issues with COVID right now regarding singing? Yes. And Amer and Sifra, do you want to tell folks about your new idea of how to creatively grow the chorus even in the time of COVID?
Yeah, and I'll also just say, just to backtrack a little bit on that, so obviously we haven't been able to meet so much, and we've been doing rehearsals on Zoom, and this sort of includes a lot of different things. Me and Amer got to run, I think, 3 songwriting sessions with the kids, which was just so incredible, and I think that obviously we have to adapt to this new sort of reality, but the kids, you know, they want to be there, they want to be part of it, and to sort of give them this like creative outlet to write has also been really special. But something that we've been discussing recently is to try and start, I'm studying music production and sound engineering, and me and Amer have recorded songs together, and we've done a bunch of different writing projects together, and we really want to try and make some sort of space that could be a studio for not only people in the choir and the kids who are now starting to sort of write their own songs, but also people from East and West Jerusalem who are independent artists who want to record music. So that is something that is very exciting, and I hope will take off.
Amer, do you want to talk also about that project? What Amer hasn't said is that he also has a law degree and an MBA somehow in the process of all of this. And so, yeah.
Yeah, even like I now work in a law office, and I just finished my MBA in last April, and I love this place. I can't leave it. I believe in it. I believe for what it I lost my English. Tough day. Yeah, I just love being in there. I'm really excited actually about the studio, because it's gonna be a big chance for us actually, since we also don't know how much COVID will be hanging around here. So we're working on it. Hopefully we can do it. And now we're more organizing the business plan, and all of that paperwork. Hopefully we'll get it done, and like record so many beautiful songs for singers from East and West Jerusalem, and hopefully actually we're thinking of making it also maybe as a community that also could help the situation as for the what the choir is calling for. And I'm just really excited to produce music with Shifra for you all to enjoy. And by the way, me and Shifra just released our new video clip
Oh, it's
called
so good. It's so good. Can you drop a link in the chat?
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Yes, I'm gonna drop a link in there. You can watch it after. It's called Through the Dark, and hopefully you enjoy it. We dropped it last week, and we worked a lot on it. And I hope you like it. And thank you. I'm gonna put a link in the chat.
Great. Do you want to put the link to it on our Patreon? Chifra, do you want to explain a little bit about our Patreon? Because like that could be a really cool way if folks are really interested, particularly in Amr and Shifra's music and the kind of creative process. Patreon could be a really cool way to get involved with that.
Yeah, so we have a Patreon, and for those who don't know what Patreon is, it's essentially a sort of way that we can connect with people who want to support the chorus and kind of show people our work before, and also additional work that other people don't get to see. And we sort of grow a community and a family together on Patreon, where we kind of all support each other. And this includes things like early access to music and other different benefits or Q&As or a bunch of different things with the alumni or with the kids of the chorus. And it's just a really great way to stay connected and to support the chorus. So hopefully we'll drop a link to the Patreon in the chat. And if anybody's interested, definitely check it out.
Great.
And we'll send those links also in a follow-up email as.
And this is recorded also. I know many of you have asked if this is being recorded, and it is.
And we can share that link too.
There's a question from Annette, who really was responsible for starting the teen chapters. And this is a question that funders have asked me. I know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer about this program. And how do you go about recruiting the teens?
How do we go about recruiting? Well, Shifra and Amer told you how he found about the chorus. And Shifra, I think, told you about her experience joining the chorus as well. And she found out just because I went to her school. And that at this point, we generally recruit through schools, but not exclusively. One of the things that's also been really exciting is that folks have now really, like, the singers in the chorus are our best advocates. And so they bring their friends, they bring their cousins, they bring their neighbors, and really engage folks because the chorus is just something that's been moving to them. I mean, Amr and Shifra, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah,
about
I'm actually really happy that I was involved for the last 2 years in recruiting. So we usually, for example, last year, me with my friend in the recruiting team went to different schools in East and West Jerusalem, which is actually really hard. And responding actually to Sarah's question about normalization, because so many people, even me and other singers that in the JYC faced so many hate of this, because you sold your case, you went with the Jews and you're singing with them about peace on the stage. You're a normalizer, you hate us, you sold your case and all of that, and so much hate from people. And actually in the beginning of the in my beginning in the first few years for me being in the choir, actually I wasn't telling my best friends about this because I was afraid that they will think about me so many different stuff here in Jerusalem. So I actually kept it for my family and like really, really a small circle around me. And I was really, really sad because I have this opportunity, this cool opportunity, and I was in high school. I go to stages and like I perform. This is so cool. I wanted to share this with my school, with my friends, but unfortunately, I wasn't in a situation that could help me actually face all the hate that I could get from making this public. But now, actually, after so many years at the choir, being I learned actually what is the choir about, and now I'm not ashamed of going and rising up and having a song with Shifra and sharing it on my Facebook that have people that I know. And this is actually a really problem. We had also some singers that they had problems with their parents, that because they didn't want them to be in the chorus and all of this, because it's like Israeli Palestinian, you're singing for peace, and like you're selling your case. And yeah, so we go to recruit. Actually, some schools in East Jerusalem and in West Jerusalem doesn't let us in because you are normalizers. You want to make life is easy and nice in Jerusalem, to go on a global stage and say everything is fine. But this is not what is the choir about, because we doesn't say that everything is fine. No, we say things are bad, things are challenging, but this is who we are, and we are facing all of this. So recruiting definitely is hard, but we do all of our best to actually get kids for every year to run the chorus. And what is nice, people who join, they don't leave. Even people who stayed in the choir for 1 or 2 years, they still connected to me, to other friends, to the choir. They come visit. So who comes in doesn't go out.
And I would love to add to that if we have time.
Go ahead,
Um,
Shifra.
because I think that, I mean, first of all, what Amr said is so important because it really rings true for so many people who are in the chorus. And I think just touching on my experience a little bit, I don't know what the word for it would be, because it's not really used as the term of normalization. It's more just the complete, being really unaccepting of being a part of something like this. I think because people, I mean, I've heard everything that you could possibly imagine. At first, I didn't think anyone in my family was that supportive. And then now, like, my mom is really supportive, my siblings are supportive, but my extended family still are not. So it almost made me like a black sheep a bit, because they'll never understand it. It's a huge part of my life. And this happened to me in school. It happened to me with my teachers, with my friends, with people who weren't my friends. And you kind of get subjected to a lot of different hate that gets thrown around towards you. And I think that, first of all, if you believe in what you're doing, that kind of gives you the confidence to, even though obviously it's difficult, it's hard to hear people have told me, I'm not Jewish enough, or I'm not Israeli enough, or I'm not, all of these things, like, just because I sing with people in a choir and we try to sort of see eye to eye. And I think that that can obviously get very difficult, but as I said, because or at least because I believe in it so much, even though you kind of carry those things with you and you have to take all of this backlash and all of these people talking about you, it almost motivates you to continue doing it even more, because it kind of proves that you have something to say and that your message actually needs to be spread even more. Yeah.
Thanks, Shifra.
Only a really short note, actually. Through the years, actually, I thought that only the Palestinians in the choir who faced this problem. But through the years, I learned that also Israelis and Jews face this. I thought it's hard for us to say that we're in this choir, but it's easy for Jews. But through the years, I learned it's also hard for them to say that I meet Palestinians and we sing together. Thank you.
Thanks, Amr. Shifra and Amr, you wanna share some music with us?
Yeah. Should I go first, or Amr, you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm bringing out my ukulele. This song that I'm going to sing for you has been part of the choir's repertoire for a really long time. We've had amazing opportunity to work with David Bruza, who is a really amazing, talented Israeli artist. And he performs this song with Mira Awad a lot, and we got to sing it with him, and it was great. It's called In My Heart, Believe. And something that I like to say before I sing this is that it kind of shows that music is sort of like this common language that we share, because when I came to the choir, I didn't speak Hebrew and I didn't speak Arabic. And this song is in Hebrew and Arabic, so neither of these languages are my mother tongue, but it means so much to me, and I really feel the song. And it's basically talking about your homeland and your love for where you're from and sort of like your roots, and it's really beautiful. And the Hebrew and Arabic are translating each other, so they're both saying the same thing. And even if you don't understand either language, hopefully you can feel it.
Thanks, Sifra.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Amer, show us what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be singing for you. As you may saw in the video clip, my solos usually at the chorus songs is rap. So I hope you enjoy my Arabic Hebrew rap. You hear me, right? بخرط بفكر سلبي بس عندي تفكير إيجابي زي اللي جاهد للوطن وينادوني هون إرهابي عدد أسبابي بس من الأمل عندي ذرة لو يوم بحياتي فشل بكرة عيد الكرة بسمع للرهباني بس بداخلي مش مقتنع أفكاره كتير سلبية مجرد مستمع موهوم بفكرة التناقض إحساس الياس الدنيا فيها خير ما تكون أنت العكس عب النقص املأ خطواتك بالتساؤل عيش عالتجارب ما تعيش عالتساؤل عيش واملأ قلبك بالسعادة بدينا الحب السعادة بالعبادة لا تكون انهزام يكون فكرة مليانة أمل فيها كون العبرة وفيها كون المثل كون فكرة إيجابية ما بتقول مستحيل كون انت التغيير المسبق له مثيل له مأمين بناشك مأمين بشيرة فتيك مسبيك كده لوع صوت تبخيرة بخزي لو راخشة ما تصاف بخيرة وده معاش متفتفت مسكيرة بيديوك عاد كما بعد ليها صرارة نخنو لقمري له بوتا سيراك شيء مش طالع اسمه شوفيه خمر بعراق اخزش يا نخنو مش تمشي مع مزيرة. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Thank you, Amir. Damn. So where do we go from here? Sarah B, take us away.
Oh, how am I supposed to follow that? Come on.
Well, it's your solo.
Oh, it's my solo. It's my turn. Great. Well, I will definitely not be singing or rapping. Amir, Sifra, thank you both so much for your beautiful music. My heart is both like feeling so warm and also like really elevated right now. That was awesome. Great. Well, I have the unique pleasure very quickly just to talk a little bit more about Raise Your Voice Labs and specifically our teen lab that will be starting just next week, which we're really excited about. So Raise Your Voice Labs very briefly works at the intersection of musical co-creation, inclusive group process, and culture transformation. So next week, we're going to be starting, as Cheryl said, with about 35 teams from across the sisterhood. And we're going to be really focusing on relationship building, learning how to share vulnerably, share our truths with one another vulnerably, listen deeply, and most importantly, how to have and stay in difficult conversations, which is an actual skill that can be developed and learned and harnessed in ways that feel really critical and really necessary given the world that we're living in now, both here in the US and also globally. We're also going to have a space to really intentionally enter and explore the Sisterhood's recent statement on Palestine and Israel, and begin to really vision how to live into that statement and not just have it be a statement that exists on paper that people can refer to, but what does it actually mean to work towards, to live towards, to speak about creating a just and equitable world. And most importantly, we'll be bringing joy and play into the critical work of bridge building that you all do in the sisterhood, that the JYC does, because as we envision and dream about a different world, play and joy absolutely have to be a part of it and are really transformative in the ways that they do that. Yeah, so we're excited. This is a new venture. Hopefully this is the start of lots of different work for both Raise Your Voice Labs and the Sisterhood in this like brave new chapter that it's undertaking. So again, JYC, thank you for like kicking us off and like for getting us going this morning. And I see a question, and I'll just answer this briefly. Same questions about how to get involved. So if you're a teen, reach out to Sammy and Olivia, and they'll be able to like get you connected. And if you're an adult member that wants to participate in our adult lab, that'll happen after the gala later in 2020 or at the start of 2021, we will be sending out information about how to do that as we get a little bit closer to the date.
And it's Sammy, it's Samantha at sosspeace.org. You could always, if you forget, just go to our website. Everything's there. Sarah just posted it. Both Sarah, myself, Sammy, Nadia, all our staff. It's our first names at sosspeace.org. So just shoot an email and we are there for you and would love to work with you. Just a statement about what we're doing. You all know that with the pandemic, things are rough for nonprofits. Things are rough financially and giving, and the sisterhood has not been left out of this challenging time. What we're doing here, teaming up with Raise Your Voice Labs and working with the JYC, was not originally in our budget, but we are so passionate about this and so passionate about giving our members the opportunity to participate that we're moving forward. So if any of you are interested in helping out, please just shoot an email. We would welcome any help we could get, any suggestions you have of people that might be interested in supporting this. We need the help. Raise Your Voice needs the help. We all do. And like I said, right now things are really rough, but it's not stopping us. We need to change the world, and this is one of the ways we could do it, to show that love is stronger than hate and our hearts are bigger than our ears.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you for that, Cheryl. That's just really spot on, and absolutely what we're all about. Well, what I'd love to do in this next phase of the workshop is we've now had a chance to hear some stories from Amir and Sifra and to hear their incredible music. And we've had a chance to take some of your questions about what the work is in Jerusalem. And now we want to bring this experience to what is happening in all of your lives right now. And so what we're going to do is actually have a bit of a taste of the way that the Jerusalem Youth Chorus does dialogue. I know there was a question earlier that we didn't have a chance to get to about like what our model is like. That's a really long question. And ultimately, I'll just say that what makes our process unique is that it's a long-term process rather than just an intensive short-term one. And that people stay in this process for many years. Right. So there's no other program that I know of where people like, like Amir and Sifra have been in dialogue continuously with many of the same people for years while doing something together that is outside of dialogue. Like that isn't really a thing to my knowledge. But what we're going to do now is just a little taste. We're going to do one dialogue activity as a chance to immerse ourselves a little bit in what this kind of process could be like. So I want to just take a quick moment and explain what we're going to do. So basically, one of the things that we talk about a lot, which I'm sure you've spent a lot of time talking about as well in the sisterhood, is stereotypes. That's an interesting place to start. Because we all have so many stereotypes about one another and about ourselves that we don't realize, and we internalize these stereotypes. And what I've found is really interesting is not just like identifying the stereotypes, that's nice, or even denouncing the stereotypes, okay, that's fine. But how do these stereotypes that are pervasive in society actually impact the way that we live and see ourselves and see one another? And so that's what we're going to explore now. We're going to go into breakout rooms and pair up. I will be creating these rooms randomly, so we have no idea who's going to be with whom. Last time in one of these workshops, I was with Sifra, and we actually had an incredible conversation that we'd never talked about before. And that's also the power of creating intentionally different spaces, right? So we're going to be pairing up, and each person will have 3 minutes to share their answers to the following 3 questions. One is an identity that you have, or an identity group that you're a part of. And I'll post all these in the chat before we split up so everyone can copy them, or you can write them down now. So one is an identity that you belong to or that belongs to you. The second is a stereotype associated with that identity. That can be positive, negative, neutral, sideways, random, whatever it is, but something that's associated. And then sharing with your partner how that stereotype impacts the way you live your life. So again, how that stereotype impacts the way that you live your life. I'm just going to write that down quickly. And then what will happen is the first person will have about 3 minutes to share their answers to that question. The other person is just using active listening and being present and holding that. And then we'll switch. I'll send out a message to everybody when it's about 3 minutes, so everyone has a chance to go. The next person will do the same. Then there should be a little time, hopefully at the end, for more sort of organic reflection to happen in these breakout rooms. And then we'll come back together and share a little bit about our experience together. So here are the questions. 1, an identity. 2, a stereotype. 3, how that stereotype impacts the way you live your life. Okay, so let's do it.
So I think, I mean, my biggest identity is Jewish. I don't know. For me, I don't know what that stereotype is, because I'm a Jewish educator, and I deny all the stereotypes, but maybe somebody else would say that there is one. I'm an introvert, even though I'm also an educator. So, I don't have that. I think of all of the stereotypes as so derogatory that I would never even, it's hard for me to think of what that is. So I'm sort of stuck there. How does that stereotype impact my life? So is a stereotype what other people think of me?
I think it could be.
Yeah. I actually think that the current stereotype people have of me is all of the other work that I do that they sometimes scratch their head, like Sisterhood of Salaam Shalom, like being an activist. It's kind of like, oh, there she goes again. But, and I'm not willing to give any of those up, obviously, because for me, it's a positive. And I don't know if it comes from being Jewish or if it's just part of who I am. So I guess in that way I would say, well, I mean, I was pretty silent for a while. I was talking to my daughter about who's visiting about this. She said, why weren't you so active and out there when you were raising us? And I think the honest answer is that that was so consuming that I didn't do it, but it was there.
What was consuming? Raising your kids?
Yeah. But they're both big activists, so somehow it came across, even if they didn't really see me doing it. So.
Well, I can totally relate to all that you said. I was actually being Jewish is a major identity for me, but I was thinking actually about being a volunteer, and the stereotypes. One is like what you said, like, there you go again, you're Jewish. Does that mean you don't love Israel because you are working with people who are Muslim and that kind of thing? And then the other part is being a volunteer, and what is it worth? Like, I'm not volunteering, I'm not working for money. I'm doing it on my, it is my work, but I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
So I've had to, more recently I say, I have my work to do. So I'm putting it in there that, okay, this is my work.
Yeah.
even though I'm not paid for it.
And then it gets owned. It's in some ways, I've always thought that it makes it more authentic because it's not like the money part is like making you do things or you have to do things that maybe you wouldn't do otherwise. It's totally coming from the
up
heart.
to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
So-
gonna just
Yeah.
FYI, I'm just gonna give everybody 60 seconds to
Oh,
go back. I know
okay.
we had less time, but I know even I think this has been really great. So go for it. Sorry for
I
taking
think so too.
another
I
10
do too.
seconds.
Okay.
I also, I have to say that I was part of a small group dinner and concert that JYC did in San Jose. I think it
Oh,
was
great.
in November.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
was in January. You were
Was
around that
last
table.
January?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where
okay.
we were on tour. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I heard both Shifra and Amir.
You did. You did
And
indeed.
it was like, so as soon as this came on, I just started smiling. It's like, I know their stories. And this just added to it. And so it's like this, and in between, I was in Israel last June, a year ago, June. And it made it I hadn't been in a very long time, and it made it more real.
I'm really glad.
Thank you. Oh.
Yes. Here comes everybody. Amazing. Awesome. So what I would love is for us to do a quick harvest of some of the reflections and some of the experiences that you had just in this last sort of 10 plus minutes, right? It's a short period of time, and yet a lot can happen if you use that time and structure it in an intentional way that helps people to go deep quickly. So I would just love if anybody wants to share. You can take yourself off mute to do this, because it really should come from you. It doesn't have to be in the chat. If there is just sort of any particular reflections that any of you would want to share with the group about what your experience was like, what you learned maybe about yourself, someone else, what resonated for you. Go ahead, Lisa.
Lorraine, Chuck, and I spoke together, and we both had a similar orientation to this exercise, thinking that we really needed to talk about stereotypes or things that we felt about ourselves related to our religion. But in fact, what we talked about was our feminism and being a woman in this world and feeling empowered to do whatever we wanted to do and not be cast in any kind of traditional stereotypical roles as women have been in society.
Yeah. Wow. Love that. And that's also really interesting that often in doing this, we think we're going to go into it one way, and then we realize that we have so many different parts of ourselves that can resonate and connect in different ways.
Yes, and I just want to add, Lorraine is an astrophysicist. So awesome.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else want to share? Just go for it. You don't have to raise your hand.
I was with Eunice, and Eunice is going to be joining our committee on engaging about Israel and Palestine and the conflict and who else we're going to be partnered with and how we're going to be moving forward. So it's a new help and new collaboration and new leadership to move us forward.
Love that. Does anyone else want to share something?
I just want to add,
no, Lorraine, please.
Just a thank you to Lisa, because absolutely, I started out thinking I was sharing being Jewish American. And the moment she opened her mouth, I just did a 180 degrees. She started talking about being a woman. And so I overcame what I thought was the agenda and what was the agenda of the sisterhood and of this meeting in one word, me to where I really was. And so I just, such a deep thank you. Just her example of her feminism and with her husband and her daughters and all. So I just want to publicly say thank you. She showed me what was most in my heart, which I wasn't recognizing.
Wow, that's beautiful. Sarah, what were you going to say?
Which Sarah are you talking to?
Sarah B.
Sarah V, thanks. Yeah, I just, my partner and I was just noticing that she was sharing that she has to be really cautious in sharing parts of her identity because there's risk in that for her. And I was reflecting just on my own privilege that I don't have to be as cautious because of the identities that I carry, particularly like my whiteness and my like financial privilege and other parts of who I am and where I live and all of that. So just noticing in that share.
Thanks for sharing that, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's maybe...
I'll say...
Go ahead.
Okay, so I really enjoyed this, and I thought my identity was going to be, my main identity as being Jewish, and but as it turns out, my partner was talking about her work, like volunteering with Sisterhood, and that was my second thing, is that I'm a volunteer. And what the stereotype is, well, what's your work? Is that your work? You're not being paid for it, is what I think is the stereotype. So I was saying that I need to also say it for myself. Okay, I have work to do. I'm doing my work, even if I'm not getting paid for it.
Yes, that's critical. And who gets to decide what has value?
Well, my partner and I, Sue and I, talked about our Jewish and Israeli identity, and it was painful to think about how people see us, our stereotypes. For Sue, it was people see her as the, money grabbing person, or she charges in the medical field. People would judge her that she's a Jew that wants money. And for me, it being an Israeli, people thinking that I'm aggressive, hostile to Palestinians. So it's just painful that immediately they assume that. And with my interactions with Palestinians here too, we have to work through that. And it takes a long time.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. One of the things that I've been most inspired by that Cheryl has shared is how long you have all been engaged in these conversations and building these relationships. And I think the fact that the sisterhood like JYC is a long-term process. It's not a like one and done, oh, we like did this thing and now we're like peacemakers. It's like, no, it's something that you work at. It's a relationship that you continue to build. And what you were saying, Cheryl, is like until you've actually gone and done more than a year's worth of relationship building, then you can get into the hard stuff. And I think that's really, really beautiful. And I salute all of you for taking that approach. So what I'd love to do with the remaining 5 minutes that we have. Oh, Cheryl, are you trying to say something?
I was going to say something.
Sarah was just starting to talk. Can Sarah say something real fast and then we can move on?
It was
Sure.
interesting that I was thinking of the International Voices Choir in Houston when I listened to your performance. And then in our sharing, I got paired with somebody who knows and has worked with my friends in the International Voices of Houston Choir. So JB was my partner and we both are from Houston. And it was phenomenal that I'd never crossed paths with JB before. And here we are in this conversation together. and it's beautiful.
Thanks,
And
Sarah.
we both
Thanks for
talked
sharing
about
that.
being the voice of the voiceless, because our fear and our stereotype concern is that our voices are suppressed. Mine from a Muslim woman's perspective, and hers from a non-binary perspective.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot there. And thank you for being that voice and amplifying voices that need to be heard. So with the remaining 4 minutes that we have, as we mentioned, the way that the Jerusalem Youth Chorus works is that we sandwich the dialogue in between musical experiences. And so what I'm going to do now is attempt to honor some of the different experiences that you've all shared through music right now. So here we go. I'm doing my work. 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 She showed me what was most in my heart. I'm doing my work. She showed me what was most in my heart. Was most in my heart. I'm doing my work. She showed me what amplified the voice of the voiceless. She showed me what amplified the voice of the voiceless. She showed me what amplified the voice of the voiceless. She showed me what amplified the voice of the voiceless. I'm here with the Sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good. All that I'm here with the Sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good. All that I'm here with the Sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good. All that I'm here with the Sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good. All that I'm here with the Sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good.
Woo!
Woo!
So that is just a little taste in a couple minutes of the kind of work that we want to do in the lab. That rather than me just like writing all those things, you will be writing those things, right? You can choose what you feel is important to say, what you want to be heard. And then we will help to create a musical container where all of that can be expressed. And then we'll make a sick video. And it'll be really amazing because that can then help everybody to live into the vision that you have for your community. So we're really
our
excited.
teens are going to be doing this over, Sarah, six sessions. It's not just a boom real fast. It's 6 sessions where they'll be working really hard and listening and sharing and creating. And you all will get to see their music video at our annual conference, which is November 15th, which you'll be hearing about very shortly. But they're going to be all excited to present the outcome of this then. And we can't wait for all of you to hopefully participate in the adult women's version of the lab and do the same thing. So I thank all of you for being part of this. I thank JYC. I was crying. I think we were all touched. You're amazing. Keep changing the world. Please don't stop. I can't wait when we're allowed to travel again, and we travel to Jerusalem. We visit Israel and Palestine. We want to come to your new studio and record with you.
Yes.
Okay? And Micah and Sarah, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being part of our lives in the sisterhood. And we are just so grateful for this partnership. So thank you.
So are
Thank
we.
you for
So
all
are
of you
we.
for being here.
Absolutely. And we'll send a follow-up email to everybody so that everyone has our email addresses, the JYC Patreon, how you can get involved in supporting JYC, how you can get involved in making sure you're the first to know about the lab for adults and all the rest. So just thanks for taking your time today to be with us and to share yourselves and your voices.
Thank you all.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all.
I'm here with the sisterhood. We're talking about all that is good. Talking about all that is good. All that is good. All that is good. Thanks, everybody. That was our outro. Peace. Have a great day.
Thank you again, Micah.
Thanks, everyone.